New York, 1917. The painter Joseph Steller and the art collector Walter Arensberg are enjoying a lively meal with their friend, the French-American artist and chess player Marcel Duchamp. From there, the three friends made their way to the J.L. Mott Ironworks on 118 Fifth Avenue. Duchamp picked out a Bedfordshire model urinal. He took it back to his studio, placed it on its back and signed it R. Mutt 1917. The new work was named Fountain. This was the genesis of one of the most subversive and influential works of art of the 20th century. Some even consider this the very moment conceptual art that prioritizes the idea or the concept over the aesthetic, was born. But there is another side to the story. Baroness Elsa von Freytag-Loringhoven was a well-known German avant-garde artist living in Greenwich Village, New York, who wore spoons as earrings, cakes as hats, and postage stamps as makeup. The almost always destitute Baroness was routinely arrested for crimes like petty theft and public nudity. Following the First World War, the Baroness met Duchamp, who became an avid supporter of her work. In 1915, Duchamp had already started to turn everyday objects into pieces of art, something he called ready-mades. Fountain was submitted to a 1917 exhibition at the Society of Independent Artists in New York under the pseudonym Richard Mutt. But was Fountain really Duchamp's work? In April 1917, he wrote to his sister and said that one of my female friends who has adopted the pseudonym Richard Mutt sent me a porcelain urinal as a sculpture. Since there was nothing indecent about it, there was no real reason to reject it. Was this friend Baroness Elsa von Freytag-Loringhoven? By this time she had moved from New York to Philadelphia, where newspapers also reported that the apocryphal Richard Mutt was from. In his recent book Stranger Than We Can Imagine, John Higgs shows that Baroness Elsa had been turning everyday objects into art long before Duchamp started exhibiting ready-mades, and Fountain has all the hallmarks of Baroness Elsa's scatological style, not typical in the work of Duchamp. On top of this, researchers found that the ironworks that Duchamp claimed to buy the urinal from didn't make or stock that model. In 1923, Baroness Elsa, disappointed with America, moved back to Berlin where she struggled with poverty and depression. Around this time, the Baroness painted a picture that was said to represent abandonment that included a leg walking out of the frame. The painting depicts an overflowing urinal, spoiling books sat on the floor with a pipe sat carefully on the lip. The urinal is clearly a reference to Duchamp, but is the context clear? Baroness Elsa died in 1927 when the gas was left on in her flat. Whether she forgot to turn it off or not is unclear. Why, though, was such a memorable figure forgotten so quickly? Ernest Hemingway and Ezra Pound both admired her work, and she appeared in works by Man Ray, George Biddle and Grantham Bain. Was the Baroness a forgotten pioneer? Or is she doomed to be relegated to the ash heap of history?